All right. So today we're talking about Unravel. Initial release date February 9th, 2016. Developed by ColdWood Interactive. Published by Electronic Arts, EA. Costs $20 or your regional equivalent. Platforms Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Microsoft Windows. So yeah, we'll just go ahead and introduce ourselves. We can go left to right, so start us off, Graham.
I'm Graham. I played it on Xbox. I got through the whole thing, and I really enjoyed it. I liked the art style. I liked the mechanics of it. Were pretty simple and easy to grasp. Not too many negatives. There's a couple issues I had with some of the puzzles, but we'll get to that later.
All right. I'm Nick. I played on the PC, and I'm really conflicted about this game. There's some things I just really don't like about it, but there's other things that I really like about it. But otherwise, I'm halfway through, and it really feels like a grind to just finish it. I'm not really enjoying it.
And I'm Zach. Also playing it on the PC. I think I just got past like the halfway point. I'm on chapter 7 out of 12, and yeah, I'm also kind of conflicted about this. I like the game. I like the setting. I have some nitpicky stuff about the game and some not so nitpicky stuff about the game. And yeah, we can just start that off. Do you guys want to start talking about like the gameplay first?
Yeah, I can start us off.
Right.
So you play as Yarny, which is a sentient like yarn animal kind of, and you start off like in a house, which is like a hub where you pick the levels. You can swing about and then kind of explore it. Not too much really to explore. I don't know why it really needed a hub level, but you're collecting like, I don't even know what you'd call them, like yarn tokens. What would you guys consider them to be? Like
yeah, like they pretty much look like souvenirs that you would buy overseas.
Yeah, you're kind of filling like a photo album almost, and like throughout the levels you'll see like almost like holograms, but they're like firefly like memories. It's very vague, like there's no dialogue, which I kind of like the mysticism of it, and then like it's trying to get you into a certain like mood, I guess. Like it's trying to evoke emotion for sure. I don't know if it did a good job about it. In the later levels, for me, I played through the whole thing. In the later levels, I for sure felt like something. But in the beginning levels, since there's nothing to like grasp onto in the beginning, like you don't really know what's going on. I think those early levels struggle a lot to like pull you in. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah. In the beginning, I was a little too focused on just mechanics of the game. There isn't a whole lot of mechanics to the game. There's just like throwing your yarn out to grab other yarns in place, sort of like anchor points if you were climbing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about what's like that mechanic similar to, like what you can compare it to. And the only thing where I can really think of is like cut the rope, like the really simple app game, you know?
Really just any swinging mechanic in a video game like that.
Yeah, I guess.
Grab onto. There's also more where you could tie them down and like make like a bridge or something to jump. It's very simple mechanic. Like that's it. And then there's like grabbing and pushing objects, and that's it. I was mostly just like focused on those more than just like the story part in the beginning.
Yeah, I think it's like a fun mechanic to use. Like I think swinging and roping and all that can be good in a lot of games. I don't really know what their take was on it. The one thing that they talked about was that you'd have to backtrack because you have a limited amount of yarn. Like Yarny is like yarn himself, and he's using himself to like tether from the start of the level to the end of the level. But there's certain points where you can't move, you can't progress because you're out of yarn. But that only comes up like as a mechanic, like in a couple levels. Like there's only maybe out of my entire like playthrough, like 3 times where I was like, oh crap, I like did the puzzle inefficiently, and I need to like go back so I have more yarn.
Yeah, I never really felt that much of an issue, and it didn't really feel like that much of a game-changing mechanic. Like, it was just like once or twice that I'm like, whoops, because did it just terribly. Let me just undo all these ties and retie this way, and there we go. Because you always have enough string to make it to the next one.
Yep. Zach, did you ever have, I don't know, how did you feel about the mechanics?
Most of the mechanics, I think, I feel like I've seen a lot before. Like this, a lot of the mechanics in this, well, a lot of the puzzles in this reminded me a lot of like stuff from Little Nightmares, Limbo,
Inside. I got a lot of those vibes. Just platformer puzzle.
Like halfway through what I was playing, I was like, man, I wonder if I just play enough of these, I can just pick and choose between different puzzles, and they're pretty much going to have one in all of them. But I think the actual character and the mechanics of like using the yarn and just figuring out the levels, I thought was the most like unique part of this game, and I think that's what it makes it really stand apart from the other ones. Like I really like enjoyed the first couple of levels, like figuring out how to like use the yarn and stuff. And this game, I thought this game was going to be like, oh, it's super cutesy and it's like got a very nice atmosphere. This is going to be like a really easy game, but it's not. There were quite a few puzzles that kind of stumped me, and like some of them I thought were like, oh, there was just that little hidden thing, and oh, some of them kind of feel bullshit. But I think for the most part, most of this game feels pretty fair and kind of lets you kind of figure it out for yourself, and I kind of like that part.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned the like Limbo and Inside and Little Nightmares, and I feel like a lot of those ones, as you play, the puzzles get scale quite hard towards the end. Going through this entire one, it felt like there was a little bit of a different like theme through each of the levels. Like one level will be like, it really wants you to swing, or one of the levels will be, it really wants you to build bridges, or another one's like, it really wants you to build jumps, and it never peaked. Like, it never got really hard. Like, I never had to use a guide, which in some of the puzzle games I play, like towards the end, I'm just like, oh my god, I want to finish it, but I'm just not that smart, or not willing to take like 2 hours to figure out a puzzle. But I was stumped, but I was able to get through every puzzle probably in under like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think the puzzles were that difficult. It's more just like, what am I supposed to do here? And you aren't given very many things.
No, each puzzle is like
limited on mechanics.
There's like only a set number of anchors too, like maybe like 5 anchor points at most. So it's like, even if you try every combination, it wouldn't take you that long.
When I got stuck though, on times, it's mostly because I have to use some sort of environmental thing like a rock, but like it was so blended in the environment that I like had no idea I could interact with it, and I just like sort of jumped over it to go forward, and then I get stuck, which I'm supposed to use that rock from like 5 feet back, like past the screen. I'm just like, god damn it, like really.
I definitely.
But like, yeah, they're never
problem.
They're never hard enough that you could be stuck on them for like more than 15 minutes.
Yeah, on that, like the art style makes all the interactable objects like blend in almost too well, but I don't know if it would have the same like weight or like be as puzzly if like anything that you could push around had like a big glow on it that some games do.
Yeah, that pops out.
Yeah, so I mean, I enjoyed that, but it'd be too easy at that point, for sure. Other than that, I really enjoyed the art style. Like in the later levels, so I don't know if you guys got to any of the snow levels, but the physics on the snow levels was like surprisingly like well. Like in Horizon Zero Dawn, I know that they showed like when you like walk over the snow, like the grass shows up from under it, and it was kind of like that. And there's the mechanic in those later snow levels. You have to like pull down pine cones and then like roll them around in the snow to like build up like a big snowball, and then you'd use those as platforms and such. And then there'd be like branches that were like weighted down by snow, and if you jumped on the branch and like displaced the snow, it would like fling up because it's no longer weighted down by the snow. And I think like some of those mechanics, like worked really well towards the end, and should have like they felt way more innovative than the previous levels. Like, you know, the first couple levels, I know they're trying to introduce you to like certain things, but I don't know why a mechanic or like a environmental thing like that had such an impact was saved just for like 2 levels.
I actually think that was pretty apparent like throughout the game, like the level where the gameplay for the most part stays pretty consistent, but it's the environment that really changes up the gameplay, and like you do have pretty interesting environmental gameplay, like with the water level where like the tide is coming in and you kind of have to time it, and then you got like the construction levels where you're like going through all the construction equipment or going through the buildings and stuff. And
I really enjoyed the Raven level. Did you guys play through that one? Where you have to like time it so that the ravens don't dive at you?
I don't think I got to that one. I got the one where you like are chasing the raven because it has the little button thing, but
yeah, okay.
I don't think I have the one where the ravens dive bomb you.
I have very different opinions than you guys, because I felt like the like gameplay doesn't really change at all. Like I think if I hit the snow thing, then that would be cool. But like if it's just 2 levels, that's just ugh. But otherwise, I think like all the foresty levels when you're outdoors all felt very much the same. Just
the foresty ones definitely.
Those are definitely similar.
Yep. Even with the one with the shore coming up, I still felt like you just run from left to right. You just have to stop for like a second.
Yeah.
So,
I guess we don't. I mean, this. Okay, so like story-wise, there's not a whole lot of building, of it. Like, in the foresty ones, like there's not really any people. Like you don't really know what's going on. Obviously, then other than seeing these holograms. But like towards the middle, in the construction levels, you kind of start to see like a weird, like, sad decay of the world. Like there's vats of like acid.
Go story right now?
I mean, we kind of all talked about gameplay, but
I could spew out a few more opinions on gameplay.
Go for it then.
Story for more later. Have you guys had difficulty using the yarn?
Yeah, I would say there's times where I'm like, so right trigger, or I played with a controller, so right trigger was grab something, and then you'd hold left trigger to like pull it, or if you tied down to an anchor spot, and then left trigger would like go backwards to that. You'd be like, left trigger was your anchor spot. And there's times where like I had to like tie down and untie and tie down like to get it to work. For sure. That was like a struggle.
Yeah, my biggest problem was like if there's 2 anchor points in the sky and no platform to like have to like tie on one point and then go over to the other one. Yeah, go over to the other one and then tie there. And my knots, my yarn is like most of the time just too loose to be able to use it as a jumping platform. I'm just like, come on, I'm trying to
because left trigger is like the pull, but it's also like to like make taut, like to pull, like reel in. I think the game would benefit a lot from a reel in button. Just like tighten my yarn button.
Yeah.
And I think that's what left trigger was supposed to be, but it was also used as something else. So a lot of the time I found myself like walking back and forth just in one spot while holding left trigger to like try to tighten my knot, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's weird. On computer, S is for like pulling it in.
Okay.
But like sometimes I can sit there and reel it in. Other times like he just
yeah. There's a couple levels towards the end where like I just had string going everywhere, and I like didn't. I mean, yeah, it's like there's like 10 anchor points, and eventually like you just run out of string, and you have to undo all of it. And I think if there was a button to like undo all knots, I think that would have helped a lot, because like there's times where like I mess up this puzzle and I know I messed it up, but like on Xbox, I think the only thing I could find was like restart level. Like I couldn't restart checkpoint. I don't know if.
Yep.
So
same, yeah. There's many times
you can
like,
restart their checkpoint.
Can you? I didn't see that. Like, I was like, I'm like, I don't want to restart the entire level. I would like, because I'm
I
like
didn't
towards
see
the
it
end.
restart.
Yeah, there's a button for it. If you're on controller, it's holding the down arrow key.
Oh, it's a
Okay.
certain button. Okay, I looked at
It just
menus.
sits down and you go back to the checkpoint, which I had to use a couple of times, which kind of like it kind of annoyed me when this happened. Is you have the ability to just make it so that you cannot progress, and you just got to redo it essentially. Like there are some times where you can like get rid of an item that you kind of need for getting over like a certain spot.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, and that kind of annoyed me. And something that also kind of annoyed me that I've seen with games like this is the checkpoint system is not amazing.
Yeah, I didn't understand it sometimes.
Yeah, like
It's
the
wherever you
checkpoint
Pick
system
up
is
more
time,
yarn.
Yeah,
That's the checkpoint.
yeah, every time you pick up like extra yarn that like puts you back to full yarn, is a checkpoint. And so you can have these big areas that like, have a lot of ways that you can die, and if you die on one of them, you're right back to the checkpoint, which happened to me a number of times, which was pretty frustrating. And I understand why you need that in games like these, but it was still frustrating.
Yeah, but see, like, also on other times, there'd be 5 fucking feet you have to walk, and you just grabbed another yarn.
Yeah, I definitely like.
Sometimes.
There was a bunch of variety between it. I'm not sure if they needed to do that because of the ways. Like, I felt like there was multiple ways to solve a puzzle. So I don't know if they needed all of those because, like, if you took the long way around, well, we need a checkpoint to be right there for you. But if you did it the efficient way, it could be, you don't need it until way later.
Also,
So
you have
Yeah.
you have the collectibles, some of which require you to like do different puzzles, which is going to take up a bunch of extra yarn. So you kind of need that extra yarn to be able to get to the end of the level. Yeah. So I was surprised. I found a bunch of the collectibles.
Yeah, I think I ended with probably 50% of the collectibles.
Yeah, like as the game, like
Yeah,
I did the first level and it's like, oh, you found one collectible, and I'm like, is it going to be that kind of game? But as the game went on, I definitely like learned like where they kind of hide them a lot more, and kind of the kind of puzzles they like to use to hide them.
Yeah, it's very easy to get at least 3 on a blind through run
Yeah, for sure.
on any level, and explore a little.
Did you guys like the pacing of the game?
Yeah, I thought the pacing was fine.
I thought it was pretty good.
I don't like it because I feel like it doesn't introduce anything new for a long periods of time.
Yeah, I think
if you're understanding what I mean.
Yeah, like the mechanics stay the same throughout, but I think what we were talking about, the environment, I think that's definitely what they wanted to change.
Yeah, Zach was telling me apparently he hit like where there's what did you say, Zach? Radioactive.
Oh yeah,
or
like
something.
the radioactive goo where you basically
I didn't hit that yet, but I probably would have hit it the next level, which hopefully would have changed something up.
Yeah, I think that is like
makes
level
you die
7.
Yeah,
He said it just makes you die faster, which isn't really much, but the snow would make
acts pretty much just like water. But I guess you could die if you fall.
The thing I did like about water is it gives you like just enough time to like climb back out of it before you die, which is really nice. It's nice that it's not like Inside or Limbo where you die like almost immediate. Well, actually, Inside is like, you can swim, but
with that said, the last 3 levels become so like the game is very forgiving. Like you said, if you fall into water, you can almost rope yourself back up. The last 3 levels focus way more on platforming and like they're like almost timed. So like ice will break and you have to stay on that ice piece for a certain amount of time. And if you fall behind, you just have to restart that entire checkpoint. There's no recovering, and that's how a lot of the last 3, like the last levels are. Is if you miss this one action, you now have to restart the entire checkpoint.
Yeah, I got to a few parts like that were super frustrating. Like, one part that really frustrated me is when you're on like the power lines, and there will be a lightning strike, and pretty much there's I hate stuff in games that is like super like reflex based, because I have bad reflexes, and pretty much I didn't even know that this was a thing. I kind of had to figure it out because the game doesn't really tell you. But when the lightning strikes, when you hear the thunder, if you jump, you dodge the current essentially as it goes through, and you basically have to jump as it is thundering. And if you miss it once, you get electrocuted, you die, you go right back to the start of the level, and that was just very frustrating to me.
Yeah, there's times where the game's forgiving, and then there's other times where it's like, nope, you have to be not frame perfect, but it's like, yeah, if you miss the noise, you're screwed. Like you're gonna die to that. Yeah, I don't know. So speaking of the mechanics, like a lot of the games, like, you know, Super Meat Boy and all that, they'll introduce mechanics slowly throughout the game. This one didn't really introduce new mechanics, but you use the same mechanics throughout the game, and you would think that the last level would make you combine all your skills and knowledge of the game to like execute these really complex puzzles. The last level of the game is almost an escort mission of a lamp. You have to drag a lantern. So it's a really dark night and it's snowing and there's wind, and you press right trigger to hold onto this lantern, and you drag it through the entire level. And when you just hold right trigger and you're holding it, and then when the wind comes, you hold left trigger so that you like stay anchored onto the lantern, and then that's like the entire last level. And it was so disappointing. I was like, what is happening right now? Like there's probably like 2 puzzles in that entire level, and it just goes so slow because you're dragging this interactable object, and every like 5 seconds you're getting blown the other direction. And there was times where, like in this level, where there's a hill, and if you don't make it up the hill before the next wind, you get blown down the entire hill.
Oh wow.
And it was just aggravating. Like the game was like, you know, kind of fast paced for the most part. Like you could just rope and swing everywhere and jump everywhere, and then you get to this last level and it's like, no, don't have fun here.
I don't know, maybe it's trying to evoke some kind of emotion, or like this is like a Greek tragedy, or like
that's definitely kind of how it ends. So you're like chasing the last like button, and you run out of yarn. That's how the game ends. Like you just peter out.
Figured.
So like there's that, and I mean, but then you get tied. The chick that you've kind of been like following, like in the memories,
the person like, in the intro cutscene.
Yeah, like she comes and like picks up your like end of yarn, I guess, like the end of the string, and she kind of like, you can tell she like starts to like wrap you back together. So I mean, it's like cool, but I don't know, it was not, I didn't feel attached to the character really. So, but I liked the music and I liked the art style. Overall, I pretty much liked the game.
Yeah,
I think that's a good segue to the story, though. What's your guys' interpretation of the story? To me, it seems like the dev team just took all of their past photos that their moms and dads took and just like
threw them together.
Let's use this in the game, and just it seems more like a game of memories. Like this is what this person's life was like the person in the beginning. Old lady's done throughout her life.
Well, I kind of already suspected what this game was going to be about, because I saw this, I forget what it was at. I think it was like at E3 or something, like when this game got announced or when this game got released. A developer came out and he was like talking about how he came up with the concept of the game, and it was a very sweet, like nice.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, he was almost like crying on the stage.
Yeah, it was very emotional, and
what was his thing?
I'm going to try to remember this, but he was like talking about how he was like on vacation with his family, and he was thinking about like how we build experiences and like kind of how we go through life, and he thought of a game where you're a person made of string, and you slowly run out of string as you're going through the level. And like he made a prototype that day of like this little string person, and it was very nice presentation, and I recommend you go watch it. But yeah, pretty much my interpretation of the story is you're going through and you're collecting these memories and these experiences like through these pictures.
It's like a string that like everything's connected in life, and like, you know, it's you're tied together through all your memories. I don't know. It's kind of like, it's just like the life. Like you can tell when they're younger in the, like the memories are a little bit younger in the missions, and then there's like a little bit of like romance in the middle.
Yeah.
And then there's like a
downfall. A little bit darker and like a little bit sad and
Yep.
Yeah, and then so in the ending levels you can see the, like you run past like a tombstone and you see them all around a grave. So it's like, it's, you know, the age of someone's life, like it's all their memories leading up to their death. And then, but there's kind of the rebirth at the end where like you die, like your Yarny falls apart, but then the daughter wraps him back up together, like wraps him back up again. So whoever's kid this is, you know, still has them in their life through this photo album.
It's a very nice story.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely took me a while to like figure out what the hell was going on in the beginning, because
yeah, I definitely felt that too.
I wasn't really paying attention that much, and then like, oh. Then I was making dot connections, and it was like, okay, I understand.
And I think we went over the art style a little bit, but yeah, I like the art style. It's
definitely like realistic. Realistic with like some cartoony features.
Yeah. Some parts that I didn't like is like there are some parts at the beginning, especially like when you're in direct sunlight, where you can tell that like Yarny like stands out from the background and doesn't really fit with the art style, which was a little bit immersion breaking for me. But kind of towards the middle of the game where it got like a little bit darker, there's some parts of the game where he really stands out from the background, but most of the game it works together pretty well. And I really do like the music for this game. Like that was actually something that I heard the music before I even had played the game, and I was like, that's really a nice soundtrack.
Is it just me, or is there one song?
It's one song for a lot of it.
It's kind of like
with you, but it's okay. Like it's just acoustics. It's like, and then it gets faster when you're in danger, and it gets like it's like one track, but it like changes the pacing of it.
I see.
Well, kind of like Hollow Knight has that one like music set that is present in almost all of the songs in that game. It's kind of the same for this game, where it's like the same. I don't know enough about music to describe it, but yeah, they all kind of sound the same, but they're different. And they're different based on the environment. Like I definitely noticed that, like in the beach level, I definitely noticed it was different there. Bury Mine was probably my favorite song, and I definitely liked the environment for that a lot as well. But yeah, it's a good soundtrack.
So you guys want to end it on a recommendation, or?
Yeah, I'll just have to add that I really enjoyed the art. I didn't have much problems with it.
Yeah, I was actually like kind of admiring some of the stuff throughout it. Like, oh, that's done really well. I had almost no complaints about the art.
I thought so. Yeah, I didn't have any complaints with the art really, and I don't think I would change too much with the game at all. Really,
I would like to see at least a couple more mechanics that would be introduced throughout the game, even if they're just super small or something.
Yeah,
maybe like more animals. Like holy shit, when I ran in that.
Yeah, the chipmunk.
Like I was like, oh damn, finally something.
And he came back multiple times. Like, I'm gonna get you, you piece of shit.
There's definitely. So you speaking of animals, I remember the flies annoying you in the mid game.
Oh my god, that was annoying.
That's really, I didn't like that at all. The ravens are there. I know there's one point when you ride the fish. I thought that was a really cool moment.
Yeah, that was cool. You got the part with the cockroaches.
Yep. You have to like shine light to keep cockroaches from getting you. And then there's a part with the mole. I don't remember where that was.
Never confirmed.
Yeah.
Oh, and also there's... Wait, did you mention the part with the crabs?
No, I didn't. I forgot about the crabs. Yep, the crabs are there.
What the
Crabs were annoying. I did not like the crabs at all.
I kind of liked it how that you were like you had to lure them into spots so you could jump over them. Kind of how you use the environment to your advantage, but there were a few parts where it's just like, oh, they need something to kill you right here. Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, it took me forever to trap that crab in a crate thing because like my stream would not pull the thing.
So I didn't realize I did that section wrong until like I was just watching like a guide of like because I was like going after like some collectibles for that mission. I stopped going for the collectibles, but I had somehow skipped that entire section. I could just jump and somehow grab that last knot at the end of the level, and I just jumped like swung over the entire puzzle.
Oh.
So there, and I felt like I did that a couple times. Like there are certain puzzles where I was like, I'm pretty sure I just did that wrong, but I got through it, so I'm gonna take it. Yeah.
Yeah, there were a few times like that for me. Like, did I just cheese that? I don't know.
For sure.
But yeah, otherwise I don't have many more opinions about the game. It's pretty simple and short.
Yeah, I do like games like these, like games like Inside, games like...
To me, they're kind of
Little
like, rainy day games where it's like they're pretty short. Like this game can probably be ran in like under like 6 hours or even. Does anyone know what the speed time for it is? Or
Average time is 6 hours.
Okay, so that's not too bad, and I thought it was pretty easy to pick up. We all said, we didn't get hiccup on too many puzzles.
It's a very casual game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's not that difficult to get into.
I definitely felt very relaxed when playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of it puts you in a good mood, like
For sure.
Except when you get on one of those parts that's frustrating, in which case you're like, "Fuck this game." But I think for the most part, this is a very chill game.
Yeah, I would recommend it to anyone that likes any of those that we mentioned: The Inside, Little Nightmares, all those. Any sort of puzzle platformer, this is right up that alley.
Yeah, kind of that 2.5D.
Yep.
Although with Little Nightmares, that's more 3D, but yeah, you get the point.
Yeah, I would recommend it only at a low price point. I honestly don't think the game's really worth more than $10.
That was actually something that I thought, like when it was like, oh yeah, I might not have very much time to play this game. Do I really want to pay $20 for this much? Something I did do is I paid $5 for a month of EA access, and that includes this game. It includes a bunch of other games. I would recommend getting that for 1 month and then immediately canceling your subscription and playing this game. I think for $5, this game's absolutely worth it.
Yeah, I got it on sale as well, so I did not pay full price. Knowing I would have spent $20 on it, like if I had spent $20 and then played only a 6-hour game that's not repeatable really at all, other than going after the collectibles, the game doesn't have much to offer after your 6 hours in one playthrough. So
yeah,
not worth the $20. But
I think a $20 6-hour game is fine, but
it's got to be a good 6
in terms of content wise.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're all pretty linear levels, and I mean,
not deeply mechanic heavy or anything.
Because you're not going to go back through it and like, oh, I want to, like, even games that are short that have a lot of mechanics, you can do different fights in a different way. Yeah, whereas this is like, you're just going to go and do the same puzzle again. It's not. There's not a mechanic where like, oh, I'm going to do this whole game only swinging, or I'll never tie a knot. Like, you have it. So
yeah.
All right. Well, that's pretty much all my opinions on it.
Yeah.
Yep. Same here. yeah, if you like this kind of game, I would recommend picking it up. Is it worth $20? Probably not. Is it worth $5 with the EA access? Absolutely. I will certainly go back and play this game later, because despite my kind of minor frustrations with this game, I do think it's a charming game. I do think it's got something that makes it unique compared to other like 2.5D puzzle platformers. So if you like those kind of games, I think you would probably like this one. But is it the best one you're going to play? Probably not.
Sounds good.
But it is nice.
Yep.
Our next game will be Hellblade.
Hellblade: Senuna's Sacrifice.
Yes.
It's going to be spooky.